Alright, we are out here at Eurocycles in Tampa Bay. Got my beauty right there. We're gonna test ride. We've got the 18, we've got the 19, and we've got the 20 RSV4 factories. And I think we're gonna test ride the 18 and either the 19 or the 20. The 19 and the 20s are about the same bike, but there's some big changes from the 18 to the 19 and 20. So we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. Right now they're prepping the 2020 RSV4 Factory. I'm gonna take that for a spin. And there he goes, he's getting the other one ready. We're gonna come back and grab that bike when we're done with the 2020. I'm gonna gear up, jump on this bad boy, and see what it's all about. All right, so here is the 2020 Aprilia RSV4 Factory, and I have to say, this thing is a straight up race inspired bike, as you'd expect. Now I have to say right away, the first thing that I noticed when I threw my leg over this bike and picked it up off its kickstand is how light this thing is. It's an extremely light feeling bike. Even compared to the BMW, this thing just feels feather light. And the next thing that made me feel like this is very race inspired is how on top of the bike I'm sitting. On other bikes, you almost feel like you're sitting in the bike, if that makes any sense. On this, it's very aggressive. It's an aggressive feeling bike. I feel a lot more up. I feel like I'm sitting on the bike, not in the bike. Now the other key thing that I mentioned before about the RSV4 is the sound. This bike, with the V4, with it being a V4, it gives a different kind of sound. And this bike definitely has a unique sound, and I love it. It sounds so good. I don't know if you can hear that, but it just sounds beautiful. I love it. It's a very aggressive tone. I guess it's the best way I can put it. It's not your typical whiny sport bike sound. It sounds mean, it sounds muscly. And for how aggressive the stance is of this bike, I have to say it's pretty comfortable. I'm sitting really aggressively, but it's in a comfortable way. It's kind of hard to explain. Oh, that sounds good. We're gonna get some corners in here, see what, not too fast, just to get a little feel for how the thing rolls. All right. It's very smooth with its entrance and exit of the corner. No hesitation in there. A really nice feel to it. So one thing I'm noticing going through those last little corners and stuff, the shape of the tank is very much designed for the rider and with the rider in mind. Your legs, so I don't know if you can see that, I'm trying, but my leg, it literally has like a cutout. You know, the tank has a cutout here for my leg, so it gives me full control when I'm in a corner. I don't have to use my arms, and I really don't have to try to hold on with my legs, because the bike just kind of does it for me. It gives me the perfect little spot for my legs to rest and hang on when I'm going through those corners. I think little things like that Aprilia did with this bike that, you know, separates it from the other manufacturers. You know, because a lot of times you'll see people that just put the, like the tank grip right there, so then you can hold on with your leg when you're laying over on the corner. This thing, I mean, you could put some tank grip in there, but with the cutouts, you almost don't need to. And it kind of narrows up the bike too, so when you're in a full tuck, your legs can get sucked in, you're very streamlined. Good job with that. Ooh, that Ducati sounds good. All right, so this is the 2020 RSV4 Factory that I just rode, and this thing feels really, really good. It's very much meant for the rider. They had the rider in mind when they made this bike. It's extremely comfortable. Again, like I was talking about with the leg cutouts, I think that's, you know, it's one of those things that you don't really think about when you're looking for a bike, but I have to say, as soon as I threw my leg over this and I felt that when I was riding, I think all bikes should have that. In fact, I think that's a big selling point to this bike. In my opinion, it just gives you, it gives you a very confident feel when you're on this bike. Now with the 2020, with RSV4 Factory, this is an 1100, so they made some changes in 19 and 20. They bumped up, they actually lengthened the stroke, and they were able to get a little bit more power out of it. So they went from the 1000 all the way to the 1100. Now with the 2020 that I just rode, another upgrade that they did to this thing for 2020 is that they did the Öhlins semi-active suspension. In my opinion, it's kind of a big upgrade, especially for not doing a full redesign. That's a big step in the right direction. If they did that without doing a full redesign, I can't wait to throw my leg over the 2021 when that thing shows up. All right, with all that said, we're gonna jump on the 2018, which is honestly a beautiful, beautiful bike. This is a leftover, so if you are looking for an RSV4, Eurocycles does have a leftover 18, and you can get one hell of a deal on this bike right now. So if you're looking, you might wanna come check this thing out. With the 2018, there are some changes that it's a little bit different than the 2020 that we were just on. This thing's got the mechanical suspension, which again is still really, really good. It's just the older style mechanical, but it's still good. Still good. A lot of the bikes are still running it. Now the other thing with the 2018 is that this is 1000 cc, whereas the 2020 is an 1100. This one is just 1000, which is still plenty of power with the V4. So anyway, let's do the leg over and see what we got with this bike. All right, we've confirmed that the 2018 sounds just as beautiful as the 2020. All right, so this is the 2018 RSV4 RF, and honestly, I can't really tell that big of a difference between this one and the 2020. I know that there are some key differences, one being that this is a 1000 and that one being 1100. That one having semi-active suspension, this one having mechanical suspension. But really, if I was buying one of these, I would probably end up going with this 2018, this particular one, just because it's a leftover and they got a good price tag on it. All right, so let's talk about the difference of 1000 to the 1100. Is there that big of a difference in power? It's debatable. Yes, there is definitely more power to the 1100. I'm not gonna lie, but it's still 1000. That's still a lot of bike. Now, I just rode the 2020 1100 and went to the 1000. So yes, I can definitely feel a little bit of a difference right off the bat, but not enough to where I wouldn't buy this bike. I guess the spots where I'm really feeling that extra little power is when I'm coming out of a corner, and it's not a lot. Like I'm not struggling to get through a corner, obviously. This is an Aprilia RSV4, a beautiful bike. It's an amazing machine. Has no problems getting through a corner. But the 1100 just seems to pull through just a little bit smoother almost. The 1000 still does a fantastic job getting in and out. It's plenty of power, honestly. And still a joy to ride. Again, the seating position is very, very similar. In fact, I really don't feel any difference there. You still got these nice little cutouts for your legs, which again, I really like these. The semi-active suspension of the 2020, it does feel a little bit smoother. But this still feels good. This feels about how you'd expect it to feel. But the 2020 is just a little bit better. But really, the 2018 and the 2020 share a lot of the same characteristics as far as the you know, the whole motorcycle goes. And one other thing that I really wanted to point out, and this goes for both of these bikes that I've ridden today, is the accessibility of all of your controls on your grips. Now I know every bike's just a little bit different as far as where, you know, where they put their buttons and everything. Some of these buttons you don't need all the time. Some of them, like your blinker, you're using quite a bit. This one is very easy to get to. Everything's very easy to get to, actually. But with that being said, this bike is very user-friendly. They want everything to be very, very intuitive. And that's exactly what they did. Anyway, there's really not a whole lot to talk about with this bike because it's so similar to the 2020 that we already rode and talked about. So I'm gonna head back to the dealership to return this, and then, you know, maybe if one of you guys are looking for this particular bike, you can give them a call and pick one up. Again, the 2018, this is their last leftover model. So if you're looking for a brand new bike for not a brand new price, I recommend this bike. I really do. All right, if you're still with me, I appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe. I'm going to be doing more of these ride videos. This is the first one, so I'm figuring it out. But be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more of these videos, and leave a comment below on something that you would like to see me ride. But now that I've ridden both of these beautiful bikes, I would like to talk about my final thoughts on the RSV4 motorcycle. Honestly, both of these bikes were a joy to ride. This is the first time I've ever ridden an RSV4, so I didn't really know what to expect. One note that I will make is that anybody looking to upgrade to a new motorcycle, if you were to get an RSV4, you would not be disappointed. Now let's start with the 2020. This bike is a little more dressed up. It's got the carbon fiber winglets, it's got the Acro titanium slip-on, and the semi-active suspension. But the 2018 feels very much like the 2020. The weight's the same, the riding position's the same, the overall feel of the bike is very much the same. Now, as far as the power output goes, the 2020 is an 1100 and the 2018 is a 1000. But honestly, I don't think that the average rider is gonna notice that big of a difference. In fact, I think the only reason I felt the difference is because I literally jumped from the 2020 to the 2018 within a matter of minutes. So being able to compare them side by side like that, I think that's the only reason why I could actually feel a difference in the power. And of course, both of these motorcycles sound incredible. With the V4 engine, it gives it a very unique sound, and it just, I love that sound of the V4. It sounds amazing. But these bikes feel very, very similar when riding, since there wasn't a full redesign between these two model years. But if you're in the market for a new motorcycle, I would definitely recommend checking out the RSV4. And really either one of them, the 2018 or the 2020. With the 2018, they actually have one in stock over at Eurocycles. You're gonna get a good deal on it because it's a 2018 leftover. Still, it's a beautiful bike, and if you're looking for a nice upgrade, definitely go check that thing out before it's gone. Or if you want the added goodies of the 2020 with the 1100 and the semi-active suspension, go check that one out too. Again, you will not be disappointed with this bike. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next one.